Obviously, I hit this after the game, but the community crowd this past weekend was unbelievable, as it really has been for 20 years now. Um, so big thanks to the students that came out, the community. Uh, Big thanks to all the people at Western that set up the tents, and I mean the baseball field's packed, and I know that's a lot of work, and it made a difference, and so I appreciate that. And on the field Saturday, I thought our offensive line played well. I thought our defense played well. I challenged both of them, and they responded. Um, Obviously, Bell's had a great game. I think all our running backs did. Sean Tyler got out there and got going a little bit, which was fun to see. Defense, I thought they played hard. Trayshawn obviously had a great game statistically. Made a lot of big splash plays for us. And I think it was 38 yards of total offense in the second half, which is good to see. And, I thought our guys, they came out how they needed to come out. And we're going to have to do that to win games. We're going to have to come out early and have a lot of energy and execute, and all three phases. And I thought we did that, and we're going to need that going into the Dome this weekend.
It's Syracuse. It's an ACC team.
Yeah, what colors are you going to be wearing this weekend?
I'm just watching at verdicts.
Okay.
It's a game that, in theory, you guys will likely be underdogs. But do you feel a sense of confidence? Does this team feel like they can go in there and win?
Yeah, you think you can win every game. I mean, if we play the way we're capable of playing, I think playing them last year helped. We got down early. We played a great second half, and so I think we have confidence in a lot. We faced a lot of these guys before, and we know that although it's going to be really difficult to move the ball and really difficult to slow down that offense. We know we've done it before, but we got to play great. We played pretty darn good in the second half of our game last year. So we know what's ahead of us, and they got good players, and they play with a lot of confidence. They won 10 games last year, and but we're going to go out there and just try to continue to be a better version of us every time we take the field.
Go ahead.
What kind of challenges does playing the Carrier Dome present for
Heat. It's hot. That's what no one realizes. Carrier is a heating and cooling company, but they didn't put any cooling in the dome. So there's heat for the basketball games, but there's no cooling. So it's like a greenhouse. It's hot in there. It's supposed to be 80-some degrees. Luckily, it's 70s during the week, so hopefully it's not that hot when we play at noon, which helps. But it's going to be hot as the game goes on. It's normally hotter in there than it is outside. Not a lot of movement in the air. We played teams from when I was coaching there. We played teams from the South, like South Florida, and there's guys cramping all over the place. So it's no one expects it, but it's definitely it will be hot in there. And we've talked to our team. We have a hydration plan. If you come in hydrated and prepared, you're fine. But it's not something you really think about until you go there and you work there and you're in there a lot. And it's hot. It's loud. And obviously they got a really good team. Those are the main three things. The noise. There's nowhere for the noise to go. So it can be, if it's over 20,000 people, it can be deafening. They don't need to fill it for it to be deafening. So we know the noise could be an issue, and then the heat, and those are the things we're focusing on that we have to be prepared for.
Do you look forward to going back to a place you spent some time? And what are your memories of?
Oh, I love being there. I mean, one of the very unique parts about being in this profession is as you travel around, you get to learn and respect everyone's culture and the history of Purdue, learning their fight song, and being at Syracuse for 3 years and living in that area of the country, which is beautiful. And learning about all the past greats and meeting all the unbelievable players they've had there, I'm from Chicago, so meeting McNabb, I knew McNabb, so that was my only connection to Syracuse, really. But Ernie Davis and Jim Brown, and I mean Floyd Little, who obviously was working there when we were there. So it was a great place to be, great people, great fans, and for our players, it's gonna be a great venue. It's a unique venue. It's an indoor college dome, and that's not something they get to do much. So I'm happy that they get a chance to play there. But when we show up for game day, we got a job to do. It's a business trip. We got to show up ready to play and make sure we're dialed in, especially at noon. It's going to be an early game for us. We We haven't played this early yet, so we got to get up. We'll be on the field by the time you really wake up, you're stretching, and so that'll be something new for us.
You mentioned that against Michigan State, the crowd noise kind of made communication difficult for your defense. What are some things that you've been working on to make sure it's not a factor?
A lot of things, because the truth always lies somewhere in the middle. That's what some people fail to realize sometimes. Is it's never one thing. It's always a combination of both. So we've made a little bit of adjustments on all levels, from hand signaling to less double calls in in really loud situations. We put less freedom on John sometimes verbally and let him hand signal more things. When we get into those. I mean, I thought Michigan State was loud, and we have a silent cadence ready to go. We didn't have to use it. Our clap cadence worked great. We got it from Oklahoma, who played in the college football playoffs. So I think that part will be okay offensively. But we practice it all the time. I have the music so darn loud. I don't know. Hopefully the people around Waldo aren't upset with me, but it's loud now. And we go inside because it's even louder in there and crank the music up and make them communicate. And we've gotten better at it. But everyone making a little bit concerted effort of doing their part to make it better. We were all on the same page last week, and I think we had one miscommunication. One guy who was doing such a good job faking that he wasn't blitzing to blitz. When we called the blitz off, he still blitzed, because he was so dialed in to make it look like I'm not blitzing. And he was just looking at his receiver. And then the quarterback pointed right at him. Quarterback saw it and pointed it out. We checked out of it. He did not get that check. He still came, But other than that, we communicated great. And when we communicate, they got to beat us. Like if they beat you on a one-on-one route, great. It's going to happen. But let's not turn guys loose. And we didn't do that last week. And you kind of got to feel for what we're capable of.
How impressed have you been with Skywalker?
He's a pretty good athlete. He's a guy that can play any position, and he's getting much better at wide receiver just because he's playing it more, And the thing I'm most impressed with him is probably two things. One, he is a competitor. And I don't know if that's just everyone that was born and raised in Pittsburgh is that way, but he is a tough sucker and competes and competes and competes every play. I've never seen him take a play off ever. And that's a must, just to get a competitive, hungry kid. Bustle's very similar, just tough kids. And he's got great ball skills. I mean, he finds his hands on balls. I mean, he had one catch this past weekend that, he ran the wrong route. It was not the route he was supposed to run. John threw it, and it turned, and it hit him in the chest. Should have had his eyes around already. I was wondering what he was doing. And I don't know how he held on to it, but he has the ability to make plays. And the thing about him is all that competitiveness comes at 195 pounds. So he's got some, when he's in the boundary against D, who's one of the stronger guys I've seen at corner, like he can handle himself over there. And you're gonna go against some good corners into the boundary, and he's been able to handle himself. It's been fun to watch.
Coach, just skimming the game notes and whatnot, they seem to be a defense that thrives on turnovers. Mm-hmm. Can you just emphasize the importance? It's always important to take care of the ball.
The plan is not to turn the ball over. Yeah, John's done a good job. I jumped down my team's throat yesterday about our ball security. We didn't put the ball on the ground, but it was loose. It wasn't good enough. Maybe it's because they got out in front of people and they were swinging the ball when they were running on some of those long runs, but we got to be better. So we don't put the ball on the ground. And then we got to trust John. John can't play tentative. He has to play aggressive. If he gets a tip pick or something like that, that's going to happen, But if we, when we are effective on offense and we're running the ball and throwing the ball and not turning it over, we'll be tough to beat if we can do those things. But yeah, we got to make sure we hold on to it, because once the momentum swings in a building like that against an ACC team, you look at what happened at Michigan State. Those are some of the huge momentum swings where John defense got a couple for us and we weren't able to do anything with it. Which is probably the worst part of this game is our defense got a turnover. We went 3 and out, and we scored on the other 2, but I was going nuts because you can't get the defense makes a huge play, at least get a couple first downs and use that momentum, and we went 3 and out, and that was probably my most frustrating drive of the game.
as far as last year, you think about preparing for Dungy, and now he's not there, and DeVito has had a tough time, but you still know what he can do. How do you prepare for a quarterback that you know can play better than what he's put on film for 3 years?
Yeah, I mean, they've had to reshuffle their old line a little bit, so he's had people in his face. I mean, he had some success last year when he came in for Eric. And he can throw it now. There's zero question on whether the kid has an arm. It's the protection and the communication with his wide receivers as they're getting comfortable with what they're doing. And they got a good run game, and we have not been stopping the run as good as I think we can. So they're going to see that, and they're going to try to run the ball, and we got to stop that and limit the big plays. I thought the one thing our defense did better than they've ever done before is they bent but they didn't break. They had some big plays on us, and we didn't hang our heads. We just kept playing. And I went nuts against Georgia State on the touchdown. If that's what teams have to do to score, we had a free blitzer that had a bad angle. He spun out and made the guy miss, and then threw a pass, and AJ tipped it, and the guy caught him. If that's what they have to do to score a touchdown, we're in good shape. If they have to break a tackle, almost throw a pick, get it tipped, and score, that's we got to make them earn it, and so we gotta get after him if we can. Try to put people in his face because he's had a lot of people in his face. He's done a good job of throwing the ball away. He's smart, So that's an explosive offense, and they haven't really got in rhythm yet. We have to keep them out of rhythm because we know what they can do when they get in rhythm.
Week 2 against Michigan State, fall behind 21-0. Last week, give up 220 yards in the first quarter. Syracuse is kind of a unique team where if they get in a roll, they can put points on you in a hurry. Tempo.
They did last year.
How much of an emphasis has been placed on being ready from the kickoff?
Everything, just trying to get us mentally prepared, and it was good offensively. We scored on our second play or something like that, and then they drove down and we held them to a field goal, and that was huge for us. And, as long as they were earning everything they got, that's all I wanted to see out of our defense. I mean, we knew we were going up against a team that was averaging, 43 points a game, something like that. So they were potent on offense. So we weren't going to just stymie them. I didn't think we were going to. I knew they were going to score some points. Same way with Syracuse. We know they're going to score points. I did not see, the last game getting to the way it did. So we're ready for a 60-minute game, and we haven't had one yet. We were up 21, down 21, up 21. And we got to be able to play a 60-minute game to get through our league. So we were ready for one last week because we really thought we were going to have one, and we got to be ready for another one this week.
You may have addressed this after the game Saturday, but why you didn't exactly eat up time with some of those long runs? I mean,
Yeah.
he just get to the house and Bellamy and some of the other guys. But why is it so crucial for you to be able to run the football with your offense? And then next part would be, can you just touch on LeVante's play and specifically him getting loose, why that's helpful?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is it allows us to, run the clock. We don't necessarily want to score in 2 plays. I mean, it's great if we can, but we led the league in time of possession last year, and I wouldn't mind leading it again in time of possession. I don't want our defense out there 90 plays a game. I'd like them out there 65 plays a game if we want to win a championship, So we go no huddle, but we actually don't go very fast. We can go fast, but we don't really go very fast on purpose. And once Bells and the O-line get going and they have to start putting more guys in the box, that's where you're talking big plays. Now all of a sudden, they can't play cover 4. They got to play 1 high, and now every single receiver that catches a ball is 1 tackle away from a touchdown, not 3 layers away from a touchdown. And they played a lot more coverage than I mean, if you were on our headset, I couldn't believe how much coverage they played because they took the 3rd layer off the defense, which meant if Bells got past the 1st and 2nd, it was gone. They put the third layer into the defense on the first play, and we hit D behind it, and then they kept them back, and they kept clouding. They kept 2 safeties high and kept backing them up, which just allows Bells to get a running start, and that's dangerous, And so because John's making those decisions on every single play. And Bell's studied this defense. He knew where his cuts were going to be. I kind of got on him after his first touchdown because he didn't make anybody miss. So I said, "You guys haven't really done anything. You just ran. Like I'd like you to make somebody miss." And he did a couple times, and he came to the sideline to make sure he told me. I made him miss that time, Coach. I was like, I saw, because the first one he didn't even. It was a straight shot, and so it was good. I mean, the scheme was good. I think, John did a great job making the decisions, making checks when we needed it. And the O-line obviously deserves a lot of credit. It was fun to watch Tuck get going, and you guys got to see Sean Tyler, who we've all seen for a bit. He's a talented young kid, and so we got them all going. And our receivers, we only threw it, 20 times, but we were efficient when we had to. And because sometimes you got to be able to do both to win a championship, and that's the goal.
Justin Tranquil back in the starting lineup. Pretty impressive interception he made. For you as a coach to know what he's been through, how to feel to see him elevate and make that catch.
He's moving great. I felt great. He's moving great. He said he's the best he's ever felt, since, was that 2 years ago, Michigan State, when he had the knee injury. And, last year we made him wear a knee brace. This year he took it off, and he just moved. He's moving well, And make no mistake about it, one of the reasons we're able to play Justin the way we're able to play Justin is because we have number 7 playing into the boundary. We've been able to run some coverages that allow him to be the best Justin he can be. Come down into the box, make tackles. We locked up 7 a lot and just said, you take him out of the game, D, so that we can take Tranquil and do whatever the heck we want, where we don't need him over the top of you. And it's kind of like kickers and long snappers. Like when you have a good corner that's doing a good job, no one ever talks about him because you don't hear about anything going on over there, And Justin's a free player now, can run around and make plays and read quarterbacks and freelance and do all the things he's great at. And but man, he was making tackles. He almost had another pick, he was moving around good, And AJ, who was playing there, is now playing to the field. Claiborne got banged up, he got stepped on, but. And Trank played really well against Michigan State. I think we have like 4 safeties, and right now it's going to be AJ and Trank because they've been playing the best. But the other 2 are going to play. Harrison came in and got a pick too. So those guys all work together as far as what we ask them to do. And I thought he played great, and I know number 7 was the reason for a lot of that.
And for you, there's a point in that first quarter when I think everybody who's not looking for holes on the field says there's no way that they're going to be able to stop you. What's the moment in your head like when you realize that? Assuming there is that moment when you say, every time I get the ball, I have a chance to break it. What's going through your head when you realize that?
I feel as if you feel that way, as a player, as a running back, I feel like you'll never make it nowhere. I feel like you take every play as its own play. So, if we being, honest, I feel like every play, I found a hole and I came through with, the hopes that maybe or potentially that I would break enough tackles or I'd make the right cut in order to score a touchdown. But I never feel as if a team can't stop me because anybody can break 1, Anybody can break 2. But I just feel as if every play is its own play, and you can't become complacent or you can't become arrogant or too cocky. You got to remain humble. So I took every play as its own and just hope that each run I ran, I just hope for the best.
How much fun is it when you hear that crowd start to rise up and you're a step ahead? And
surprisingly, you don't hear it because you be so focused on running the football that. You don't really hear the running until after you score a touchdown. Then it's like a sigh of relief, and then you check back to make sure there's not no flags, and then it's like, okay. And then I feel like the crowd just slowly started to set back in. But I feel like when you're in your zone, you don't hear a lot. All you can hear is you breathing, and you running, and the guy behind you breathing.
Have you played a dome before?
I haven't. I played, I wouldn't call it a dome, but I played in Lucas Oil Stadium for a high school state championship. But I've never played like a dome in college. So this would be a very interesting game.
What do you remember from that defense last year? What have you seen that they put on tape through 3 games that concerns you?
Last year I seen, very stout defensive line. They got Coleman on one side. You know, they got Robinson on the other side. They got a great Mike linebacker. He's very fast, very twitchy. When he blitzes, you know, he comes hard. They got very, you know, long DBs and safeties. That was last year's team. They had a great quarterback. For this year, I feel like it's the same up front. Their Mike's very, very well coached. You know, he's very disciplined. They got great schemes. You know, they have a lot of speed. I haven't looked too much to the offense because I feel like that's more for the defense. But, you know, to me, the defense, you know what I'm saying, they bring back a lot of starters. You know, they're a year older. So, I mean, that's always, you know, another year becoming more wise. And should be a very exciting game.
How much momentum did your team take away from that big Georgia State win that I think is going to play a factor this week?
I hope we didn't take away any momentum. I feel like, you know, I don't really believe in momentum. I just feel as if you take every week as its own week, you know? Like, I feel like you can be happy about the last game, but you should never dwell on the last game because you went 1-0 in the Georgia State season, but now you want to go 1-0 in the Syracuse season. So I feel like now that we on Syracuse, you want to focus on Syracuse. And, you know, you take every day as its own. So Monday we start Syracuse. The Georgia State game is over. I'm no longer happy about that. I'm no longer satisfied because I have another game I'm trying to win. I have another goal I want to achieve, and that's to be Syracuse. So I feel like if we dwell on Georgia State, I feel like we're going to lose to Syracuse. But if we focus on Syracuse and we lock in, then I think it'll be a great matchup.
Hey, LeVante, compare yourself. You came in as a freshman at Western Michigan. 4 years later, now you're a senior. So when you came in with Jarvion Franklin, Jamar, all those guys were there kind of leading that running back room. Now that's kind of your role with running backs in your senior year this year.
Yeah, so I feel like my freshman year I was very undisciplined. I could run the rock. I always had that ability. I didn't listen. You know, I kind of got in my own head. I kind of want to do it my way. I had a pretty good true freshman year. I wasn't a leader, I would say. So I feel like over time I developed into a great leader. I became, you know, very coachable. You can talk to me about things like today, for instance, in practice. You know, our scouts and stuff, they be like super tired from doing so many reps. I grabbed the whole cart of water from the athletic trainer. I said, no, let me give them a water because it's different. It's like an affirmation. Like, I respect what you do for me. So I gave each guy on the scout a water bottle, and they drank, you know what I'm saying, drank the water, and they thanked me. And it's just a sign that shows that, like, you know, like, we are a team, and nobody's better than the team. Scout, offense, scout, defense, special teams, nobody's better than the team. We're all one. We all make up a team. So that was just, like, one thing that I do now that just shows that, you know, like, nobody's better than the team and that we're all equal. And no matter what position you play, whether you start or if you're on the sideline, or maybe you just the guy who gives us water in games, you matter. We all matter.
LeVante, you see you as a freshman, now you see Sean Tyler as a freshman. You kind of compare yourself to Sean. He came in and kind of runs a similar style that you have.
Well, unlike me when I was a freshman, Sean Tyler is very coachable. Early, he listens to everything you say. He's very detail oriented, and he hates to make mistakes. I feel like that's one thing that we do have in common is mistakes. He tries to eliminate the amount of mistakes he makes. Sean Tyler is a game changer easily. I say it all the time. He's one of those guys where on any play it just looked like he gonna score, even if he not. It's like man, that was close. He's very fast, very twitchy, very elusive. He has a lot of moves. And he makes great cuts. You know, he has great vision, and he just knows how to attack a defense. And he's very strong to be 180 pounds. You'd be surprised.
LeVante, growing up in Indianapolis, Pike High School, was there elementary, middle school, high school, was there a teacher that you kind of look back and go, that was somebody that kind of got me going in the right direction or made me a better person, better football player?
Well, before I went to Pike High School, I went to Brebeuf. That's a preparatory school. A lot of the people there, you know what I'm saying, they came from a lot of money. I didn't. So I was just fortunate enough to be at that school for a while. And I would say my teacher would be Miss Huntington. She was an English teacher there, and she kind of molded me and helped me because I always felt like an outcast because a lot of the guys, they had, they drove Mercedes and BMWs and Maseratis, and they lived in these big mansions in Village of West Clay, and I didn't have a lot of friends because I didn't want them to come over to my house because we lived in a one-story home. They had 4-story. It was one of them type of houses where like they got pools in the backyard. So anytime I went over to their house, it was like my eyes big, but everybody else seemed so normal. So I feel like Miss Huntington would just like sit me down. We'd talk about the game. It was just small stuff like that. Extra tutoring. To make sure that I felt like I was another one of them. I didn't feel like an outcast. So I would like to thank her for that.